What is up, chat? I hope you're having a great old time today. Welcome to the Silver Gauntlets. Welcome to a bit of a surprise, maybe, because what you see on the stream title is only half of what we're showing you today. We're showing you Purble versus Oximan, yes, but we're also showing you Artificial Redd versus Xavi at the same time. In a double header, the first I think we ever featured on the Silver Gauntlets. Anyway, I'm Tobias. With me today on commentary is Elagatua, the one and only person responsible for, Triforce Blitz existing. Elagatua, how are you?
Forever.
I'm doing great, and welcome to everybody. We've been lying to you in the best way possible because we've got it's not even a double header, it's like a double match.
It's like 20 minutes.
And I believe that all of these are the same seed, but it's going to be double the action, and this is the first match of the tournament proper. So finally, eliminations are at stake, and we are not just playing for seeding. We're not just playing to see which tournament bracket the players are going to end up in, but this is where all the practice that the runners have been putting into to learning the settings and stepping up their game. We're going to see who's going to be moving on. Probably not this match because this is only game one of the best of three, but this is the start of the real thing.
This is where we're starting, yes, and all our runners are ready, and it looks like we are about to send them off. Baseball has initiated the race, and baseball has initiated the second race. Alrighty. So yes, to answer some questions in chat, yes, they are all four running the same seed, but they are indeed two separate races. It is, yeah, it's a bit of an experiment, I'm not gonna lie. We'll see how it goes. Okay, medallions. Fire. DC. Shadow. Spirit. Water. And our piece counts are 6, 15, and 7. Okay, and DC on Path to Courage.
Yeah, those are pretty interesting path counts. I think the strategy of this is you probably want to think about maybe procrastinating on the 15 because getting the 6 and the 7 first could set that tiebreaker time for you. And in the event that the 15 ends up being really difficult, you want to get those 6 and the 7 as soon as possible because that will force your opponent to find all three before the 2-hour time limit. Now, to anybody who's wondering kind of why we have all four people racing together, we want to highlight as many runners as possible. And especially in this next week, we just have a whole lot of first round matches, and there's actually more matches than there are time slots on Twitch. So doing this will let us give the runners some exposure and more action for us to talk about.
Yes, indeed. So we're starting off with, I think, about 3 Dampe races. The crate in the graveyard is nothing. So the 2 races that you are seeing on stream are Purble versus Oxidune and Artificial Redd versus Xavi. So we are seeing basically 2 races at the same time. Left side is one race, right side is the other race. Just to make sure that everyone understands that. And yeah, we have, I think, or I hope, chat, you noticed that we have seen a bunch of restreams, probably more than we should have, of the opening round of this tournament on the Silver Gauntlets, and we hope to bring you as many as possible. But when 2 sets of runners end up scheduling at the same time and it's convenient to us, well, this might be something that we try. If everyone agrees to it and everyone is happy with it, of course. And a mirror shield. Relevant to our 15 piece, maybe?
Oh, and Redd got a bomb bag on Man on Roof and just like, what do I do with this? I think he wanted to run straight to Dodongo's cavern, and now he just turned around, so that's funny.
I mean, good plan.
It is path, so I mean, I don't hate it. occasionally done the man on roof bomb bag into Dodongo's cavern, leaving Cac behind in a seed with very short path counts. I don't think it's necessarily going to impact things one way or the other, but also nice to see a free shield. That's my favorite thing to see in an early race, just not having to worry about rupee management. But yeah, looks like Dodongo's cavern is in the forecast in the next few minutes.
Looks like it, indeed. I mean, with Dodongo's cavern being Path of Courage and a bomb bag straight away available in Kakariko, I think that is just the logical play to make, to be honest.
Yeah, and it's also going to open up Ganon's, which is also Path. So Xavi is, okay, trying to pick up the meme arrows, I guess, and then thinking better of it.
I mean, why not? Song of Time in the windmill. Not immediately useful, but at least not as disappointing an item drop as Zelda's Lullaby, right?
Yeah, and that's something that I think is really important to keep track of in races where there's a higher path count piece out there. Normally, when you have something that's 15 or more, it's going to be locked behind a 3-dungeon song, being either the Ocarina of Time check or the Nocturne of Shadow check. And so that's just something that is good to be aware of, to be anticipating kind of which song you think you need to be aiming at, and which dungeons are required for that song, which items you find in path dungeons that potentially could lead to one of those 3-dungeon songs, and then also whether that song could be either bypassed or if you can sort of use that information to do any sort of logic skips to maybe turn that 15 count piece into something that you could even get to by going somewhere out of logic, like Ice Cavern or maybe GTG, or bypassing Zelda's Lullaby for checks in Water Temple or something like that. There's a lot of dungeon checks that are accessible out of logic if you have the right idea of where that piece could be based on your hits. Looks like we're going to get our first look at Dodongo's cavern.
Yeah, path DC. To note, on top of the Dodongo's cavern, nothing but $50, so not worth getting for runners. IGC Path of Power, that is the third copy of that hint. IGC is double path.
That's spicy. When I see Ganon's Castle double path, especially in a high path count seed, I immediately think that Light Trial might be a thing for an item. Rather than
oh no, Strength 3 might be a thing. Though I think 15 is kind of a lowish path count for that kind of seed. More likely to see a 20 with Strength 3 being a thing. Hover Boots in the map chest, I think.
I mean, I've seen a 3 count for Light Trial before, so you never really know how deep those strengths are going to be. I've even seen some really ridiculous things. Oh, Hover Boots.
Yep.
Well, wouldn't be shocked if Shadow Temple made an appearance, especially with the early Nocturne and now potential Path Hovers showing up in Path Dodongo's Cavern. So, again, anticipation. We should be able to get an idea of where these pieces are based on what items turn up in these path areas.
Well, we know DC is Path to Courage. That is our longest... No, that's our 7th path. Okay, interesting. How much overlap do you think is going to be there between those paths?
I imagine that it's probably almost entirely overlap. I think... I mean, we don't know enough to really say anything for sure, but if I was the runners, I would be thinking, okay, we're probably going to be in Light Trial at some point this seed, and we're probably going to be in Shadow Temple at some point this seed, and maybe it's going to be like Shadow Temple for 2 pieces with an item deeper in Shadow that continues along the Wisdom path. But obviously all of that is subject to change.
And Din's Fire, speaking of Shadow Temple.
Yeah, so Din's and Hovers in path to Dongo's Cavern, and there is a big chest across the Dodongo statue face dude thing. So, oh wow, and another one here on top of the ledge.
Both fire sources in a single room. That's a thing. All we need now is magic to be able to make it halfway through Shadow Temple.
I really hate it when they put like 3 or 4 different items that potentially could be path in the same dungeon when only one of them is hinted path. Honestly, with the amount of items that we've been seeing, I would be very surprised if DC didn't turn up double path somewhere down the line.
Possibly. Okay, and Rudo's... That is concerning.
Yeah, wow. Okay, well, good luck figuring out the path item here.
I mean, Rush Ice is the obvious answer for memes, but realistically, Jabu could be a thing. Zora's Fountain is not a thing for the Triforce piece itself, obviously, but very much for items that lead us there.
Yeah, deciding when to rush ice is always a very challenging thing. In my opinion, rushing ice depends a lot on just where the logical position of Zelda's Lullaby is in the seed. I wouldn't even necessarily worry about trying to go there too quickly based on what we know. I'd probably go and check what the child songs are on Saria's Song and in Lon Lon, see if ZL shows up, and it's a little bit counterintuitive. If ZL shows up, it actually makes rushing ice a little bit worse. The best time to rush ice is when you think ZL could be really deep, because that might allow you to make a really large skip past items that would otherwise be required. So the longer that ZL takes to show up, I think the better the ice play is.
Interesting point of view, but only, of course, until you realize that, hey, with ZL, this seed or this path ends up being longer than 15 steps at that point. At that point, it becomes a, let's say, less good play.
Yeah, it's definitely a risk always. It's kind of hard to have stuff that's much deeper than 15 in many seeds. So I wouldn't be super worried about that. It's kind of like the risk-reward trade-off, where if you're going to ice early, like the worst you could lose is maybe 5 or 6 minutes, and you're going to get a song which potentially could be a warp song that could buy you back some of that time, as well as the possibility to get some out-of-logic item like a strength 3 when it's logically locked behind 2 strengths or something like that. So there's with the risk, there's a lot of ways where even if it doesn't work, it could still kind of work. And few people have lost a race by going ice too early. Just throwing it out there.
That is one way to look at it, certainly. And Xavi, or Xavi, the first one out of the Dongo's Cavern in this case, checks Reed at Grotto and then probably onwards to where? River?
Yeah, I mean, that's the question, right? It could be just to go to DMC to pick up that Bolero check. I think that would be a good play. I also wouldn't hate going to Ganon's Castle right away, seeing how many times it's been hinted on the path. But I think going up to Goron City and doing DMC is going to get a lot more hints, which could be really valuable, because it's not like we're at the end of the path already. There's not going to be any Triforce pieces showing up in games.
Oh my god, Death Mountain is just full of big chests. In this case, not useful, but certainly, yeah. Okay, so we have the means to do everything in Goron City, in Adult Goron City, I would say. We have the way to stop Link the Goron. We can Not logically, but we can get to all 3 chests in the Goron City maze.
Yeah, we're about to get blasted with info here.
I am not hating. I'm not hating the Goron City play, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, and River is good too, because that gives you a lot of hints.
Yeah, 3 hint stones.
It's very fast to do as adults, and you can very easily turn this into like a Ganon's Castle play just by save quitting at the top. Can't really do ice yet though, because you don't have an empty bottle. So maybe a little early, but probably not wrong.
Well, let's see. Another big chest in Zora's River Grotto. Hyrule Field Path of Power. That's a hint. And the item in the grotto is a slingshot. Okay.
Yeah, so Hyrule Field's an area that is pretty much accessible, and probably something that Xavi will rush pretty soon. Might be nice to try and do it as child just because it's on the way to Lon Lon and things like that, but I wouldn't hate just running around fields, getting more hints, and you know, if it's a hook shot, that could be a really big item.
Oh yeah. Gets us into Forest Temple, gets us Phantom Ganon. Alright, top of river has nothing, so item-wise pretty sparse. The maze has a big chest. Wallet and OoT Zelda's Lullaby. That is deep.
Yeah, that's a big clue. So, what are our dungeons locking OoT?
One sec. Oh, DC Path to Wisdom as well. That was, I think, a hint in the Goron City maze.
Yeah, that's not surprising at all, considering we found like the 4 potential path items there, including both of the Shadow Temple items.
And Xavi on the way to Ganon's Castle. Reasonable play, definitely. With how many paths that is. Nothing on the volcano for Oxydude.
Looks like we're getting a first look at Ganon's, but I do want to kind of linger on the dungeon layout for Zelda's Lullaby, because that's going to tell us a lot. Zelda's Lullaby is one of those songs that oftentimes is skippable even when it's logically required, at least sometimes, because it can lock Ice Cavern, it can lock chests in Water Temple, it can lock chests in Bottom of the Well, and in all those places it's not always required, in Spirit Temple as well, for key logic. So seeing ZL pretty deep could mean that it's time to gamble on stuff that is logically locked by ZL, but only logically.
Yeah, so our temples that are logically locking ZL are Deku Forest and Jabu.
So that's interesting because that means if ZL is required, then Dodongo's Cavern is going to be path for Rudos. We know that much. And it sure seems like if ZL is the is the thing that's locking some of these pieces, almost all of the, like, if ZL is locking power and courage, almost the entire path is going to be dedicated to just doing the dungeons to get ZL.
Yes, indeed. Ooh, and a big chest in Ganon's Castle with the Stelphos. And Fountain is foolish. That's good news for those who were worrying about Rudo's letter. And a bow. That is certainly a possible path item in Ganon's Castle.
Yeah, it's definitely possible. I'd be a little suspicious, just because early bombs opens up a lot of checks. It's kind of rare to see bow-locked bows unless the seed is really linear and very constrained. But it is in a double path location, so let's see what else shows up first.
And I think I just missed that hint on Purble's side. A red location is on the path of courage. Or it was Serenade on Burning Cack? I'm not sure.
It was, as is the rule with Triforce Blitz, Serenade on vacation.
Okay. Hoo boy, this is a lot to keep track of, I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, there's a lot of information with 4 people playing the same seed and just getting a variety of hints. But, I mean, we're just getting a lot of confirmation that Dodongo's Cavern and Ganon's Castle have items. Thanks for telling us, Seed. Appreciate it.
Alright, Fortress is foolish. So we learned from Lost Woods, and Kokiri Forest is foolish. Okay, we're out of here, thank you. Thank you, goodbye.
In and out.
Yeah. Convenient location for that hint, for once.
I always love that. It's I see it more frequently with like River Foolish in River, but that's a nice one. Doesn't save a whole lot of time. Looks like Oxy Dude is heading towards Minuet to see what that song is, so I like that.
Heck with logic, we want that song.
Fourth axis is.
Oh, Redd. Jumping down and checking Mido's house anyway, maybe in search of some heart pieces. Hyrule Field Path to Power, that's our confirmation for that hint. On the DMT hint stone.
Yeah, no bomb shoes for Redd. I don't mind actually checking Mido's house because you can still get bomb shoes in a foolish location, and that could be useful.
Very, very useful. Where's Xavi headed? Let's see.
I think this is field. I think this is the field runaround.
Reasonable. We have bombs. I don't care that we don't have Epona. Field is path. But do we have enough bombs? Yes, barely. Well, starting out strong. Deku Tree Foolish as well. Good information. And that's a strength under the Boulder of Destiny. And a Goron Tunic in the Wolfos Grotto.
Yeah, so that strength should already be setting alarm bells that Light Trial is a thing. Whenever I see a strength path 1, I just assume that it's probably going to involve Light Trial at some point.
Yeah, not wrong, especially with Ganon's Castle, double Path of Power as well. Because Field is Path of Power as well. So...
You can often anticipate kind of where the seed is going. Ooh, and a Fire Temple path.
Fire to Wisdom.
That's convenient for all the people that have been in DMC, because that was Vanilla Bolero, so they'll be able to get back there quickly. I don't think they're going to be too disappointed to see that hint.
Probably not, no. Oximan getting some more cash from that Moblin. Yeah, and Xavi just checking out all the field checks with not a care that he doesn't have Epona.
Prelude is actually a really good song to get because we know that that Serenade's not available, so Prelude is going to make the child routing a lot easier, and with that Market path, Market is going to be in our future very soon.
Yup. Can also be hinting at big pose, of course.
Yeah, but that would be kind of the last place we'd check, maybe other than Treasure Chest Game, but with bombs, and I think it's likely to be related to one of those 4 checks.
Oh, and Redd here accidentally jumping off the ledge, or falling off the ledge while reading the hint stone. Luckily he has a bomb left over.
It's the first time for everything.
There's our Burning Cack path to, there's our Burning Cack Serenade again. In the field remote grotto. 2 more checks in the field left. Open grotto and the Deku Salesman. Cavern path to power. Oh! I think that might have been a 3rd hit for Cavern path to power. I'm not sure.
Yeah, that wouldn't surprise me because I have a feeling that, well, we know Rudo's is almost certainly going to be path somewhere because it's locking ZL. And generally, something is going to be locked by ZL in a seed with the paths this deep. And then if Shadow Temple is required, then, well, there's your 3 right there just to even get started.
Oh, we have DC triple path, actually. It's path to wisdom, courage, and power.
Now that's interesting because that means that one of the shadow items is on one of the shorter paths at a minimum. I wonder if it's not Rudo's for the 15 and the 2 shadow items for the 6 and the 7. I'll let chat think about why I concluded that, but it's definitely... I'm not surprised that it's triple path, but where are the paths leading? That's what we really need to think about.
I mean, I have an idea why you concluded that, and it involves skipping a king.
Yeah, it has a lot to do with math, honestly, because let's say that... So if we're going to chase Rudo's, it's probably going to give us ZL, and it's going to require a bunch of items. But if we need to go to Shadow Temple, that's also a bunch of items. And if you add up all the items that you need for ZL, and you add up all the items that you need for Shadow Temple, it's probably more than 6 or 7. Now, some brave souls are saying that that Shadow Trial 2 is going to have something, and it's definitely possible. We'll see.
We need a long shot to be able to do it without fire arrows, so it's possible.
If it does have something, it would probably need to be something that locks a hook shot, because we do have those hover boots already, so and we do have fire already, so the fire arrows could really only be path for Shadow 2 at this point.
No. Red was thinking, oh wait, I can maybe get a check in here. Yes, that's reasonable. Probably would have loved to have seen magic along the way somewhere, because that could have enabled him to actually get the second check.
This would actually be a really good seed for the Spirit Trial without hookshot play. Because of that bow, it would be 2 checks in a double path area with some path items unaccounted for. I don't think anybody has gone for it yet, and I confess that I still have not bothered to practice how to do it, even though it's been on my list. But we saw it in a previous seed. I forget who used it, but it was very impressive. They were able to get it real quick.
And here's Purble picking up a 10-pack of bomb chews, which he needs because he just found himself without bombs. And there's magic! That's our way into Shadow Temple.
Yeah, so we're able to get pretty deep into Shadow Temple. We don't have a hook shot yet, so we can't get all the way beyond the pot room, but we can get close. And if that's a path magic, then that is already 4 items on the way to Spirit, or on the way to Shadow. And I almost wonder if a lot of Shadow is too shallow for a Triforce piece now. Why are they sending us to Shadow when there's no path hints for it yet?
I am not sure, but I mean, looking at the items we got with hovers and Din's Fire in Dodongo's Cavern, and magic in market, both of which are path to courage. Well, DC is path to everything this seed, which is ridiculous, but you know. I think that smells like something could be in Shadow Temple, but I see why you say it could be too shallow. We need bombs to get into DC. We need or strength, to be honest. But so far we haven't found a strength that isn't bomb locked. So we need bombs for DC as far as we know at the moment. We need hovers, Din's Fire, and magic for Shadow Temple. We also need a hookshot to be able to complete Shadow Temple. That's 5. We would also need a long shot or a bow to actually be able to complete Shadow Temple. So that's 6.
Yeah, potentially. So Obviously, we would need ZL to finish Shadow Temple, and that's going to put it really at a high number. So whatever is in Shadow Temple has to be probably in the first half of it. The real question is, well, where are the hook shots? But just we know it's Shadow Temple for something. We just don't know what it is. Maybe it's for a Triforce piece, but maybe it's just for an item that's kind of the last step leading to another Triforce piece.
Interesting to see if we figured that out.
Purble is going to be going for the Spirit Trial without hookshot strat. Let's see if he can get it quickly.
I respect it. It's a gamble. It's a time investment of maybe a minute or two to be able to get this right.
Oh, I love the idea. Hopefully he can do it quickly, though.
Yeah, I'm not sure how proficient he is at this, but we'll see.
We will see. If he can do it quick, it's going to be pretty hype.
All right, we're on the Armos. Come on. Purple, we want you to succeed. Oh, I think that was early.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yup. Sadly, it was.
Performing complicated tricks, especially ones that you've learned recently, under pressure on Restream is really, really tough. There's no way that he's known this trick for a long time, because Triforce Blitz, I think, is probably the first settings where this trick is genuinely useful on a regular basis.
Oh, this might be good. This might be good. Oh, come on! Which brings me to my GTG on the Path of Wisdom, by the way. So, Gerudo Fortress is foolish, but GTG is on the Path of Wisdom. We learned that from Hyrule Castle Hint just now. Come on. Silver Rupee hitboxes are BS. Changed my mind.
There was a boomerang on target in woods, if I just saw that correctly.
Oh boy. Alright, Virgil and Shadow confirming.
For ZL, by the way.
Mm-hmm. We also are required a server scale to actually get into domain in this particular seed.
Yeah, we'll see if any of them turn up path. Could just be two available in various locations.
Oh, got it! He nailed it. I love it. First try, every try.
Now we have to see if it pays off. This is going to be a potentially big moment.
Oh, fingers crossed for Purple here. That he gets a payoff for that one. Now needs to... No, not gonna go for the bow extension, just gonna drop a shoe. Drop a shoe? Okay. It's a bomb shoe now. Oh, that's a little chest. Oh, come on.
Unfortunate, but well, that's the gamble you take, right? Could have potentially been a big skip, but looks like our princess is in another castle, or maybe another room in the castle.
It's looking like Shadow 2, or of course. Ooh, that's another bomb bag in Lost Woods. Both bomb bags feel 0 so far.
Yeah, that means that the bomb bags are not going to be counted as a step because you could technically skip either of them. It's good to know. Kind of expected, to be honest, based on just the hints that we've gotten, but it's nice to not have to think about it anymore.
I mean, that eliminates a step from a potential path to Shadow Temple, so that is interesting to know. I mean, August 40th, I'm sure we can commission some artists to make something like that. It's not gonna be cheap, and it's probably gonna be more like bomb shoe slippers?
I've been sitting in silence trying to think of a good pun to riff off this, but I'm just coming up empty.
Oh, you meant in game. That's less exciting. Did I just hear lens on chickens? Oh no.
Well, that's great. So now we can waste even more time doing a treasure chest game for nothing in Path Market.
Well, that's true.
Xavi does not have magic yet, though, so he's going to have to pick that up first, and I don't think he has time of day to do it.
Yeah, he's gonna have to wait for nighttime. Might do some rupee collecting in the meantime.
Oh, he might have Sun Song, though, actually, because it's in Sari Song.
I don't think he's been to Sacred Forest Meadow yet, but I might be wrong.
What do you mean, you're having trouble keeping up with 4 different runners doing this seed?
No, not at all. Ooh, I think Oxydude actually never got that Kokiri Forest is Foolish in, did he? Never mind. Must have.
Looks like we got a lot of child cleanup going on. I don't anticipate any Triforce pieces are going to be showing up in this child leg, but there seems to be the magic seems to be the most important thing. So we'll be keeping an eye on who ends up going back adult first once they get that magic, because I have a feeling we're going to see a lot of Shadow Temple in the next 15 to 20 minutes.
I think that would be a definitely reasonable play, and I think Xavi is about to show us treasure chest game, so your chat, you know the drill, get your guesses in. And yes, Xavi does have Sun Song. What?
Nope.
Just walking away from it?
Debating.
Come on! Not doing it? Do it for the fans, dude!
I think this is one of the situations where he kind of had an idea in mind of what his clear out was going to be, and then he got magic, which opened up another check, but sometimes it just doesn't really register in the brain that the check is available because it's like really new information, and so you just kind of reflex into whatever the plan was originally.
Yeah, you just have that route in your head and you just follow that. In this case, that route really involved going adult.
That does actually open up Shadow 2, as chat pointed out, so that could be a potential location, but I think it's just going to be Shadow Temple for now.
Would certainly be the denser option, and yep, it looks like that's what he's going for.
And Oxydude headed to River. I wonder if this might be a turn in the letter play to potentially set up for an Out of Logic Ice Cavern in Adult 2.
I think that'd be reasonable. Oxydude already at 8 skulls as well, so we're likely to see the 10 check actually today.
It's a little bit unfortunate for Oxydude because he is missing that boomerang on Target and Woods, and I have a feeling that if he had that boomerang, he'd probably venture into Jabu, at least just to pick up the stone, knowing that it's locking ZL.
Oh yeah, we have a dungeon shortcut in Triforce Blitz. That's a piece of information that I always forget.
Yeah, it definitely makes those 3 dungeon songs a little bit less painful if you know that you just need the song. And Jabu is basically hinted foolish almost every seed, so it's good to just go straight to Baronade and clear it out.
Oh, so getting ZL is likely more like a 5 to 6 minute time investment here.
Yeah, potentially. That's if you get all the items that you need for it, then it can be very fast. But it could also just be optional. Like maybe it's just ZL for ice.
Well, first of all, we're seeing some Shadow Temple.
Looks like Redd is now an adult and probably right on the heels of Xavi going to Shadow.
With that menuing, certainly seems like it. That's strength 1 for purple. Light arrow cutscene with a potential path item? I don't see where you reached that conclusion, Virgil. In any case, is Oxydude just rushing through Zora's domain to free up that bottle, or is he actually going to do those checks?
I often skip domain every single time if even if it's not hinted, just because it's so slow and you're on a time limit. You got to keep going. But if he finds anything here, it's gonna be big. Could not see what was in the Silver Rupee room, but Xavi didn't seem to care for it, so I'm assuming it was nothing, and looks like we're going to head to deeper Shadow.
Yep. And Redd definitely hot on Xavi's heels. It's interesting, all 4 runners are running the same seed, but interestingly, Purple and Oxydude on relatively similar paths, and so are Artificial Redd and Xavi.
I do like the play to go Shadow pretty early. Just going back to the importance of finding the 6 and the 7 pieces as quickly as possible to establish that tiebreaker. Redd and Xavi seem to be prioritizing things, and hold that thought. There's a big chest in domain.
Yup. Hold the phone. If that's a hookshot, this is gonna be big. Or it could just be a tunic.
And that's why we skip domain. It's always disappointment. It starts with the same letter.
Hey, I'll take a free t-shirt, but, like... You were hoping for so much more hype items, and that's what the disappointment is here. Xavi picking up his 3rd key and a small chest.
Still not necessarily a bad trip for Oxyman. Now has the opportunity to go ice when he goes back adult. I don't think ice could have anything other than the 15 piece, but you never know. It's a gamble for a reason.
I mean, let's logic this out. Deku Tree needs a Kokiri sword, right?
Yes, and Deku Tree is foolish, so we're not going to see any items in there.
Yeah, so we can go with that if we get to it. Forest needs a hookshot to complete it. Jabu needs Budo's letter and a boomerang to complete it. That's 4. And you need Silver Scale to get into Zora's domain, so depending on how these scales are locking each other, it might be 5.
So there's Oxydude, Incarnation of Sadness, finding that boomerang immediately after leaving domain. And there's a big chest in Shadow in this room, so let's see what's in there.
Zelda's Lullaby would be 6. Blue fire bottle. Well, rush ice?
Brilliant. See? And that's
Yeah.
why Ruto's letter is useless.
Yeah. But yes, on our hypothetical path, ZL would be 6. And like with minimal requirements for completing each of the dungeons that lead to ZL. And after that, I mean, the world's your oyster.
The real scary thing is we're out of checks in Shadow, and basically nothing is turned up from the logic perspective. Like, obviously that bottle is important, but that's a small chest, so we need a hook shot to go further into Shadow, and we have a few other paths chilling that could give us some items, like Fire Temple stands out. GTG, not accessible, I think, so don't think we have Eponas, but yeah, still missing that hook shot. Looks like that's going to be the next thing to try and track down.
Side note, since I've seen it happen multiple times now, the pot is turned off. Is a disabled check in Triforce Blitz? Question mark?
No, the pot is not turned off. It's the boomerang chest in Jabu. That's the one dungeon check that is turned off.
Okay, so why did Xavi just not check it?
Well, he needs the silver rupees to open up the pot room, and
hook shot. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I think technically that trick is banned now in standard. There used to be a way that you could do some really insane strats to get it without hookshot, but I don't think it's allowed anymore.
Alright, it's time for Shadow Trial 2.
Time to see if Dodongo's Cavern is Way of the Hero for 4 items.
That would be ridiculous. But fun.
It would be funny. It would be a thing.
Oh. Yeah, these ice tiles can be trolly. One more try, purble. Alright, looks like Xavi's heading up the mountain now. Theory, you can make it to that switch without needing to re-enable the torch here.
Yeah, I've got to learn how to do that because I've seen people do it and it's pretty nice.
Oh boy, it's a biggie.
I'm nervous.
Oh boy. Oh my god, it's Megaton Hammer. Fire is path to wisdom, so here we go.
So this could be a chain of bait, but we'll see. We'll see. If it's hookshot in Fire Temple, then this is insane, and it's insanely good for purple. But this could just be further down, like the ZL chain, and there may not be. Well, we'll learn a lot. Let's just leave it there for now.
Good point. Shadow Trial 2. Oh boy.
Can you imagine if? Well, I guess Dodongo's Cavern. It can't be bait for Shadow because it's triple. But now we know that it's Ruto's. There's a decent chance that it's fire arrows and the shadowed items as well. Like, could DC be quad? It's not unthinkable.
That would be a thing.
We have no overworld locations on the Wisdom Path, so it's possible that there's some dungeon locations still on that path that just weren't hinted because of space.
Xavi checking what is on the left side of the maze here, and looks like it's a small chest. I don't see anything peeking above those boulders. So. So, with this hammer, are we just gonna beat Volvagia first? I think so, right?
Yeah, you just feel silly if you end up getting key locked later on, having to come back down. It's a good idea.
And with all that information that we got, we are still short one path. Hyrule Field Path to Power? That is a hint I haven't seen in a grotto yet. Or maybe I have. Oh right, River Grotto.
You saw that in River in DMT.
Shannock rightly pointing out that the Triforce of Power could just be sitting in Fire Temple here. But then, why would Fire be Path to Wisdom? Well, path overlap, obviously.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I guess it could be like Rudo's Fire Arrows as the two paths in DC for Power and Courage. I don't know. I still think that there's got to be a hook shot out there somewhere, and that Shadow Temple has something to say about these 6 and the 7 pieces. But that Shadow 2 hammer definitely complicated things at least a little bit. So we'll see.
We do not have a Shadow Path, Ventinor. That being said, one thing that we do have is an artificial red that is now heading for Ice Cavern. Which is a reasonable play, given you find a blue fire bottle in Shadow Temple.
Yeah, I mean, this could be Requiem or it could be Epona. So this could be a way to get to GTG out of logic. We have no way to get across, as far as I know. So this could be a way to maybe get out of logic to GTG.
It is a significant skip of steps in logic in any case. Again, we don't have a hook shot yet and don't know where that is. We don't have a Kokiri sword yet. And those two are the minimum requirements to beat the dungeons that we don't have the items for yet. Again, getting to ZL is 5 steps in the logic chain.
Shout out to Redd trying the famed Elagatua strat to jump over King Zora. Not quite aligning correctly though. I think he needs to be a little bit further to the left. But
yeah, he wasn't quite at the edge of the platform there.
But if you struggle with this strat, check out my video. It's really easy.
I think Redd has a problem with stick drift here.
Yeah, I really like to pause buffer the jump because I have issues with stick drift as well. He's just trying to do it too fast, I feel like.
You got it, though.
Exactly not the case.
Alright, that's Forest Medallion for Purble. Has beat Volvagia. Let's see what we find in Fountain. Some more information as well. 2 more hint stones, which Jabu is foolish. Okay. Thus concludes our foolish list.
Yeah, water is wet, Jabu's foolish.
I mean, that is basically with 3 checks that are in logic. It's basically a given. Saria's song in Temple of Time doesn't have any logical implications, I think. Red doesn't have CL. Some bomb chews on the iceberg is a welcome gift from the seed. We'll take it. Let's see what's under the icy waters. Oh no, wait. Fountain was foolish, right? Fountain was indeed foolish. We're out of here. Red might not have gotten the hint, though.
Yeah, it doesn't hurt that much if you do the checks here, because you have to run by them anyway to probably get the hints. And you're here for the Ice Cavern song anyway, so it's alright.
Mm-hmm. Well, let's see what we find in Ice Cavern. Might be big, might be ending up being nothing.
Looks like Xavi's heading there as well, so going to be getting Ice Cavern. Well, not quite in stereo. I imagine Xavi will be entering as Redd is leaving, and Fire Temple in stereo as well. So, yeah, a lot of our races, their runners are having the same ideas. I like it.
It is super interesting to me that we have 2 races going at the same time, running the same seed, and the racers in both of these races have taken very different paths, but very similar among the racers in the same race. It's something.
I don't necessarily know how to explain it. It's just they've had very similar ideas about trying to go out of logic in the same ways, or I still think that there's some mistakes being made trying to commit too much to wisdom paths rather than the power and courage ones. I just have a suspicion that there's a hookshot somewhere silly in the overworld that is locking this whole thing down, and maybe 2 pieces in Shadow Temple locked behind it potentially, but I don't know.
Well, we haven't seen Song of Storms yet. It could just be on Forks 1.
Yeah, maybe. This is a really hard seed to analyze, even from my perspective. Like, having all of the hints from all 4 of these runners, it's really kind of hard to get a lockdown on where power and courage could be for sure.
Right, 2 more checks coming up for Red. Meanwhile, Xavi making his own way into Ice Cavern.
Oximan having some trouble with Vol. It's one of those fights that it is perfectly controllable, but there's just a lot of different ways that it can go wrong that you need to adjust to, and it's easy to learn if it cooperates, but very difficult to master.
Okay, Red concluding there's nothing worthwhile in the Blue Fire Room. It's, well, it was a hard piece and a little chest, so out we go.
Now, maybe a question for chat that has been following along a little closer, but has Fire Temple become hammerlocked yet? Ooh, big chest.
Big chest. Oh boy!
Ooh.
As Shannock predicted, that is a Triforce piece of power for purble here.
This is why we can't have nice things. So, apparently, fire is hovers locked too behind Volve, so I think that's explaining the Dodongo's Caverns nonsense. You mean Rudos, Dins, Fire Arrows, Hovers, take your pick of any two, and of course it's the Fire Arrows and the Hovers together. Yeah, go figure. That's just brutal, by the way.
That isn't kind, no.
So that's a big pickup because Purple is going to get that tiebreaker for the first piece. So now it's up to Oximan to try and catch up, and there's still one that's going to be in this vicinity of steps to get to. We don't know if that was the 6 or the 7, but we can probably figure it out for all our mathematicians in chat. But you imagine that there's got to be something else in Fire Temple or maybe behind Hammer that is going to take us to this other piece.
Yeah, Shadok in chat already mathed it out earlier. It's, scrolls back. It's the Wanderer Bombs, which don't count for a path. Bow, Magic, Fire Arrows, Hovers, and Hammer. Ends the Strength 1 in field. That's 6, and that's exactly where we ended up.
Fascinating. Well, goes to show that I don't get it right every time. That is a real troll combination of items to beat Path, and especially in a location with Dodongo's Cavern that had a bazillion items. Now, I was not paying attention. What was the song in Ice Cavern?
Epona.
Okay, and so Redd getting Epona and then deciding to do pose on foot for reasons, I guess. But regardless, gonna maybe head over to GTG now and try to chase that piece, I guess.
I think that's reasonable. Ice Cavern needs... It does need ZL, so it needs those 5 steps that we need to get to ZL. Epona is number 6. Okay, and that's piece number 1 for Oxydude. We're going with our assumption that it's a Triforce of Power. Epona is 6, so something could be lurking in early GTG, for example, in a Bowlog check, for all we know. If you add the bow to the other items that we've already had on the list for ZL, that makes it number 7.
I don't understand why Redd is walking around in Hyrule Field when he has Epona.
That is a good question. In any case, happy 1 hour, everyone.
This has definitely been an entertaining seed. I think one of the more complicated seeds that I've casted so far, so happy to be with you all, and let's hope for an exciting second hour with some more pieces.
Indeed. Gonna take a quick moment to shout out everyone who's making this restream possible, and that's a lot of people in this case. Thank you to our runners, Oximan, Purple, Redd, and Xavi, who allowed us and agreed to be on this little experimental restream, where we're featuring 2 races at the same time. Thank you also to our trackers, Miraba, Lady Draco, Melqui, and Baby Shark, who are keeping us up to date on what is going on in the seed. Thank you to our race monitor, Baseball, who is obviously pulling double duty today. And thank you to our restreamer Hell Knight and my co-commentator Elagatua, who is responsible for this whole mess, so yeah.
Yes, and thank you to Tobias for sticking it out with me through all this chaos and being the handy play-by-play guy. We appreciate it.
Hey, I can only do play-by-play because I'll be honest, the logic chains in Triforce Blitz are somewhat I'm not gonna say beyond me, but figuring them out as quick as you all do, I'm not good at.
Well, I think chat beat me today, so we'll have to get chat into the commentary booth next time to provide some good analysis. But Oxydude, at least, going to be heading up to the top. And oh, we got another big chest at the very top here. It is a hook shot.
Oh my goodness! That's a path item in Fire. Fire's Path to Wisdom, so that's a 15 piece.
Wow. So all right. Roll with me for a minute. So first of all, I want to commend both Purple and Oxydude. This is really, really good reading of the logic because they went to Deep Fire, and then they got the Triforce piece, and then they kept going. Okay, so that's like, it's not for granted that you would keep going, but they're reading the seed really well because they know that there's got to be something just a little bit deeper, and the only way that there can be something a little bit deeper is if there's an item further than. Now I know it was path, so that kind of makes sense as well. But Purple making the most logical play, going to a hookshot locked place as soon as possible, and yeah, I think Forest is probably the most likely place for a courage piece. Seeing that Purple's already done Spirit Trial in Ganon's. So if he hadn't done that already, that's probably where he'd go next.
All right, so two options for a seven step blocked piece here. As you said, either it's a hookshot. That's our 7th step, and that'll be somewhere in Forest, for example, or it's bow, and that'll be somewhere in the early GTG in the lobby, for example.
I think
gonna be on.
By the way, I think that strength 1 that was on path was just to ultimately get that hook shot. As we see Forest Temple path for the first time on Wisdom, so Purple doesn't know it, but there's a path item in here,
and he might be about to find it. Yes, indeed. That is a long shot. That is not just a logical long shot. That is a hard long shot.
So yeah, that means the only hookshot that's available is in Hammer Chest. Just Triforce Blitz things, yay.
Mm-hmm.
So most likely that's path for logical GTG access. But that's actually really good information for Purple, because Purple knows that GTG is too many for Courage now.
Oh, I missed that item in the hooked shot locked chest there in the forest courtyard.
That was just Furor's Wind, which is nice.
All right. It's convenient.
GTG likely in our future.
Right side maze could also be interesting. Song of Time is also one of those items that would add another a 7th step to our path. Meanwhile, yeah, the entirety of Forest is certainly in play.
Yeah, but one place that's not in play is Shadow Temple. Shadow Temple is also too many now because of Nocturne and in Dins now that weren't on the path that would have to be.
Strength 2 on the right side of the maze. That is... Oh, hello!
Yeah, so
that's our courage piece.
Really good read. 100% the right play to come to Forest and rewarded now with the Triforce piece. And actually probably has that path item from Forest as well, even without the hint. So best possible scenario for Purple, now locking in that critical 2-piece tiebreaker. If Oximan is going to win this seed, he's going to have to find the piece in Forest as well as the 15-piece probably locked behind ZL. And that's going to be asking a lot.
Yes, indeed. And Purple is... with that, Purple is almost... I'm going to say not assured, but certainly on track to win this first best of 3 between Purble and Oxidude.
At least the first game, yeah. I'd say he's in
Sorry,
a
this
commanding
first
position.
game of the best of 3 between Purble and Oxidude, yeah. Oh. Bolok Big Chest in GTG.
So we are seeing GTG, and we did find a strength upgrade there. So be interesting to see where that leads. There is something path here. So the question is what?
Could very well be that strength. With a Wisdom Triforce piece in Light Trial. Oh, Purple gets to retry on the bow minigame. Let's see what else we find. We know we are guaranteed a big chest in the Bolok chest above the maze.
Yeah, and the big question is just what is path here? We have strength 2, so there's the possibility of like a wisdom piece maybe in Spirit Temple that's logically locked by ZL, but not actually. Seems like Requiem is probably ZL locked in the Composer's Grave, or it could be Vanilla potentially. So there is possibilities that there could be a skippable chain, but we actually have we know a logical way to cross. So if it is Vanilla Requiem, then ZL would potentially only be skippable if it was for keys.
Shenok with the math in chat here, pointing out Longshot plus ZL at the moment is 12 steps. Which,
yeah, if you think that Spirit could be a potential location, you're likely going to have to add Lens to that.
yeah, it looks like a Vanilla Requiem at the moment.
Yeah, or ZL locked Requiem. Yeah, Wisdom could be in Spirit. Wisdom could be in Deep Shadow, potentially. Could be... could be Water Temple, even. There's actually like some opportunities to still get this piece without actually needing to go through the full ZL chain.
I mean, getting ZL isn't that tough in given the dungeons that we need to do it for it, though. It's not terrible. It's in and out of Forest for Phantom Ganon, it's in and out of Jabu for Baronade, and it is in and out of Deku Tree once we find a Kokiri sword somewhere, which is a complication for Goma.
Yeah. That's really the trick, is where is this Kokiri sword, and how many extra checks or extra steps is it lying behind?
Alright, nothing useful Strength 3 locked, Strength 2 locked for Xavi here. To note, by the way, Redd walking around Hyrule Field instead of using Epona has cost him quite a few minutes. Xavi caught up almost entirely with him.
Yeah, but I don't think they're in the right place to find any Triforce pieces. I mean, the best they can hope for is Spirit Temple, I think, and even then, I mean, there's no guarantee that they'll be able to actually accomplish anything in Spirit Temple. They don't have Hammer, so it's basically all locked behind Shadow 2, and probably the first person to figure it out is going to get a big advantage.
Good point, and quite possible, yeah. Good setup there by Purble, I think.
And that was the Kakuri sword. So now ZL is in logic. We have everything that we need to get it. Do we need to get it? That is what we all want to know.
The question becomes more, do you want to get it just to be sure in this case, I think.
Yeah, and you only have 45 minutes left. But keep in mind that Forest Temple is on that chain, and neither Xavi nor Redd have any chance of getting that hookshot anytime soon, seeing as it's sitting in the top of Fire Temple. So while we know where all the items are, our runners don't.
Oh, you have a good point there. Oximan, meanwhile, committed to finishing Shadow Temple, I think.
Yeah, we will see some new checks here in Shadow. So I don't think it's possible for any Triforce pieces to show up here, but maybe another Strength could end up being back here, or something else, who knows. Looks like Xavi's going to be crossing, so this is going to tell us a lot, especially if this is Requiem. I think if it's Requiem, it's really good news for Xavi, because that could potentially open the door to getting keys in Child and coming back as adult, although I don't think that he has Furores, so that's getting back here. Well, I guess with Requiem it wouldn't be an issue, but if this is not Requiem, then getting back here is going to be a real challenge.
If it's not Requiem, it would be Song of Storms. You would hate to see it because it's going to be a pain to get back here. On the other hand, it opens up a bunch of new checks.
Yeah, that would be really interesting if it were Storms, because what if this is a giant chain to get to GTG access to cross logically for Storms, and then also it's logically ZL locked in the well, but not hard ZL locked. So that would probably put us in the vicinity of about 15 if that were the case. Now, it could also just be hard ZL locked in well as in addition, so still going to learn a lot probably in the next few minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Do agree with what you said earlier about the execution difference. We saw Redd get into GTG first, but Xavi's pulled ahead and is going to be crossing the Wasteland first. So these little things add up, and it does seem like maybe the first person to find a piece on the right side of our screen could be winning the race based on how much time we have left, and we know where those two pieces are. So being the first to potentially get Storms or Requiem, that could be the difference.
Very much so. It would be interesting to see basically the runners in both of our races that were showing at the same time, getting completely different pieces to determine who's winning here. But yeah, if we end up finding a piece in the Spirit Temple or in the well, for example, which would be logically deep enough, I think. Oh, Shannock pointing out it might be 14 maximum for well. Well, then in that case, never mind on the piece in the well. We also need to point out, we in the commentary booth have two huge advantages. First of all, it is that we see information from all 4 runners at the same time, and also have a dedicated tracking team that makes sense of it all for us and keeps track of every single item we find. And also, we don't need to play a video game at the same time. We have a lot more time and brain energy to wax philosophy about the correct plays, in quotation marks, to make. Meanwhile, these runners need to do all that and play a video game.
Yeah, it's a lot of mental overhead, and if you're not totally sound in your execution on the tricks, then it's very difficult to think about where the pieces could be because you're just focusing on not screwing up the tricks. So it's really a very comprehensive test of your rando abilities in ways that some of the other formats have not provided yet, because there's just this substantial mental component that you have to add on top of doing everything right and planning your route and all the other things that are involved in doing Zelda quickly.
Yes, indeed. Nothing on the arch, I think, if I saw that correctly. Here's what's Xavi's plan now? Take that Kokiri sword, head into Deku Tree, which we know is foolish.
Yeah, could be starting the ZL chain. Kind of feel like he has enough information to know that maybe he's down the wrong path. Like, he should be able to know that this is all for wisdom. Just kind of seems like maybe both of the runners on the right side are a little bit lost under the amount of information that's available, and maybe not thinking about what could be that second path item in Ganon's. Maybe they're just anticipating it to be light trial, but I don't think that's the case.
No, it would seem like light trial is, or strength 3 rather, is rather deep in the seed, it seems.
Certainly
So
locked behind hookshot, I think, at this point, based on the strength 1 being path. But Purble going to be heading into Spirit now, and I believe that Purble will have some more checks available to him because of that hookshot. So we might get a little deeper into Spirit than we did on the right side.
And Xavi getting the Fortress's Foolish Hint and heading into Child Spirit here.
Yeah, it makes sense just to kind of continue going down this path. I mean, you've committed so much time to getting Epona's out of Logic and then doing GTG, and it gave you Strength 2, and then you got Requiem, so might as well just keep going further and hoping that you can snag a piece out of Logic somewhere in Spirit Temple.
Speaking of out of Logic, Oximan is now headed into Ice Cavern himself.
Yeah, not a terrible idea. I don't know if Oximan knows that Forest is path, and if he did, I imagine he might be going there. But
the only forest path hint we've seen was in Gerudo Valley, and I don't think Oximan was there yet. Certainly not at the bottom of Gerudo Valley.
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised he hasn't made a trip to Forest, given that he has Minuet, and given that Fire had one and it was locking the hook shot. It doesn't seem like a huge jump to realize that the next piece is just hookshot locked somewhere, but maybe Oximan feels like he's got to play for the 3 and just try and track down this wisdom piece as soon as possible and take some risks to do that. So it looks like Spirit is key-locked by Requiem.
And that is a bailout for Redd, I think. Forest Temple is on the path to Wisdom, he just learned. That is the second copy of that particular hint in the Deku Tree area.
Well, it helps him a little bit, but he still needs that hook shot to even get there. So they're just going to be locked behind Shadow 2 until eternity. And until they go there, like, this seed is just locked down.
Yeah, they need to be in Fire Temple at some point to grab that hook shot.
Yeah, I mean, this is going to be first person to Shadow 2 wins on the right side. I just have a feeling.
I think we might be seeing something for the first time, considering where these two runners are headed, that I haven't seen on a Triforce Blitz restream yet, and that is a race continuing past the 2-hour mark. Because that's what happens if no runner finds a piece during the 2-hour time period. You continue until someone finds the first piece, sudden death style. But, well, that's all unwritten yet. There are 35 minutes yet for them to find a piece here. Just have a gut feeling.
Yeah, it's definitely possible. They are both going down the ZL route, but we know that they can't get there until they find that hook shot. So eventually they're going to end up dead-ended, and there's only one way forward.
And that hookshot position is evil, my goodness.
Well, they may never get the hookshot. If this gets deep enough, it's going to be based on who gets that Triforce piece in mid-fire first.
Quite possibly. Where are the hooks in? Asks Kirby fan. Well, one hookshot is in Hammer Chest in Forest, with Hammer itself being is in Hammer Chest in Fire Temple, with Hammer itself being on Shadow Trial 2, and the other hookshot is in Forest Temple. So that's very much your long shot.
It's the classic seed with 3 Dodongo's Cavern paths, with Rudos, Fire Arrows, Dins, and Hovers in Dodongo's Cavern. Pick one that's not path. Oh, yes, Dins.
Oh, man, I hadn't even thought about that. That is rude. You're right.
It's horrible. It's awful.
Is Purble's low health noise legitimately the chicken?
Better than the Talon.
Marginally. Oh, timing those shoes is annoying.
Yeah, it's the second red. So it's one of those things you just got to kind of memorize like what it is. Yeah, that looks good. If the angle's right, you should get it there.
Boomerang for artificial red. Got it. Okay.
Yeah, I called my
shot. Double. And Xavi getting the items in Gerudo Valley. Just a stick, and I think we saw on the waterfall was nothing, right?
Yeah, I believe so. I thought we saw that on the other side. Or maybe Redd had gotten that on the way to GTG, but not expecting a whole lot in Goron City. We know that the pot is in logic with Dins, so it's not like there can be any major item to show up here out of logic.
So I think Redd doesn't have enough magic to actually light the fire here.
That's what we call serendipitous time save.
There's Oxydude going into Forest Temple. Potentially grabbing his second Triforce piece.
That'll be good. That'll give him another chance to maybe track down this third piece out of logic somewhere.
How does a world look like in which Oxy ends up grabbing that first Triforce piece, that third Triforce piece first? What needs to happen?
There's a few places where it can be, and he needs to probably rush ZL as quickly as possible. But that's going to be tough because of that Kokiri sword being in GTG. Obviously, he's going to get the long shot here, which will make it a little bit easier. But I really think he just needs to be able to rush ZL, or he needs to commit to going Child Spirit and maybe try to get into Adult Spirit and have the piece be in Adult Spirit locked behind ZL because of keys. Something like that. But, I mean, he's in the right place to have a chance, because no matter what, he's going to need that long shot. Did he do ice already, actually? So...
Oxy did just do ice. He has Epona's song, and he just got his long shot, yep.
Okay, so AC doesn't need the long shot then, because he did have opponents, but it looks like Spirit is full ZL locked, according to what chat is saying, so looks like that's not really an option. So, I mean, I think the only chance is to probably find Kokiri Sword in GTG and rush ZL and maybe bottom of the well. It's tough. It's asking a lot, honestly.
All right. Purple, meanwhile, finding the Lens of Truth with Anju. Not really amused about that.
Yeah, and I don't think Purple did GTG, so missing that Kokiri sword. So I don't think Purple and Oxydude or Oxyman are going to have much of a chance of getting ZL by the time this thing wraps up. But Oxyman is going to get that second Triforce piece. So who knows? I've been wrong about what the runners can accomplish in 30 minutes before. I remember a certain game with a piece in Light Trial that caught us off guard. So maybe Oxyman can make some magic happen.
I mean, he needs to not bail out here and just beat Phantom Ganon at least to keep himself in the running. And it looks like that's exactly what he's doing. Yep, down the elevator he goes, committing to hunting for that Kokiri sword.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's possible if he goes right to GTG after this, which is kind of the logical play, and ends up finding that Kokiri sword, he'll have all the things that he needs to end up with ZL. It's just a matter of how quickly can he pick it up, and what will he have time for once he does.
I think Oxydude, knowing that Spirit is ZL locked, because I think Oxyman actually did go to Spirit and did Child Spirit as well, right?
Yeah, I'm not completely sure. It's a lot to keep track of, but I think Xavi, if I can call attention to the right side of our screen, I believe picked up another Ganon's path hint and might be headed to Shadow 2, and this could be the decisive moment.
If so, then he will probably be the first to pick up a Triforce piece in. Not headed to Shadow 2 here.
Yeah, so I take it all back.
Maybe a quick check for Big Pose, because market is path. We'll see.
I have no idea what this is.
Well, Epona for Big Pose, possibly. He has an empty bottle. Meanwhile, Oxydude's done with Phantom Ganon. Bongo's Cavern Path of Courage. Yup.
Well, moment of truth for Oxyman. After he gets this next hint, he's going to have to decide where to go. And if he has any chance of catching up with Purble and finding that third Triforce piece, I think it's got to be GTG. Otherwise, it's curtains. But let's see where this song takes us.
Forest Temple Path to Wisdom. Yup.
It's
Taking a moment to think about that. That's okay. That is...
Okay, Prelude.
Prelude,
That still
okay.
could be for GTG.
Or for Ganon's Castle, which is also a good option. Looks like Ganon's Castle to me.
I think Oxyman has cleaned out everything in Ganon's that he can do. I think this is GTG.
Oh right, he has Hammer.
Yes, it is the right side of the screen that needs to be heading towards Ganon's. I think this is GTG, likely to be Epona's called, and so yeah, still alive. We'll keep an eye on that, see how much time it takes him to get that Kokiri sword, but I'm just a little bit worried about how much time he could have left. If you think about maybe 10 minutes in GTG, he's got to beat both Deku Tree and Baronade, and I mean, you could probably do that in about 10 minutes, but that only leaves maybe 5 minutes with ZL, and boy, it's tough. It's really tough.
That's a tight schedule. That's our third bomb bag on adult fishing. That one is beam locked, so bomb locked at the moment as far as we know, because, I mean, there has to be a scale somewhere reasonable, but we'll see.
Well, it doesn't have to be reasonable, but it does have to be a scale somewhere.
Right, where's Xavi going? Is going Child.
I promise that they're going to run out of checks eventually.
That's a Zora tuning for Purple. Disappointment. Artificial Red really, really aggressive fighting against the higher keys, but he needs to be if he wants to keep his Hylian shield, Kokiri's, his Deku shield.
It looks like Purple doesn't have the boomerang, so I think Purple is just going to be running around chasing after ZL without much success for the remaining 22 minutes. But Oxydude making his way into GTG, and timer ticking down closer and closer. And how fast can he get that Kokiri sword? That's what it's down to. Left side or right side? Will he check maze and see that big chest? That could influence how fast he gets it. Looks like
going right side.
Yeah, that's not good. That means he's going to get the strength too, but...
he's also going to be able to peek the maze at the same time, so...
Yeah, that's
not
true.
all hope is lost.
Sometimes when I get a key in those first bowlock chests, I'll just go straight into the maze from there and check the hidden chest just to see if I need any more keys. But it's not wrong, certainly, to do the right side first. It's just, in this situation, we know it's unlucky.
There he goes with strength 2. Alright, now it's Purble's turn to go ice as the last of the 4 runners featured on screen.
Yeah, I mean, you might as well. You've got 20 minutes left and missing some items for ZL. Might as well take a stab at it, right? Nothing really to be lost there. We know, but he does not know, that he's sitting pretty with that ever-important stopwatch icon in his back pocket, which means that unless Oxydude is able to lock down this third Triforce piece, that Purble will be taking game 1 of this series. So all the pressure's on Oximan, and Purble can just, well, if he wanted to, he could go get Burger King for the next 20 minutes and probably would still be in some pretty good shape. But for
Oximan now knows that there's a big chest in the bowlock check here, though, so is now rushing towards that, I would assume.
Yeah, it looks like it. I mean, I wouldn't even... I wouldn't hold it against him if he actually just left and assumed that the strength was path and ran to YOLO Spirit, given the situation. But looks like he's going to make what we know is the best play available to him, which is good to see.
The bad thing is, I think he's still going to go to Spirit first, because he doesn't have Requiem. And it would be an utter ass to come back here.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing that might save him is once he has that Kokiri sword, he does have all the ingredients to get ZL. So it would make crossing a little bit worse than it would be in other situations. But he does have to watch his health. He's only got a half a heart left. I'm scared.
Well, with 4 Wolfos in the next room, there's reason to be.
I know that chat thinks that that the last piece is somewhere in Spirit Temple locked behind ZL, and they could be right, but I'm just trying to think from the perspective of what can Oxydude realistically accomplish in the next 18 minutes, because the reality is, if that piece is actually locked behind ZL in Spirit Temple, there's no way he can get it in 18 minutes. So if that's the case, he shouldn't even think about it, because there's 0 chance anyway. The only way that he could possibly have a chance of getting it is if it's probably in bottom of the well, and he should try to play for that possibility. And if it's not there, then it was never possible anyway, so what can you do?
Though I think it only needs to be logically ZL locked, and for that to happen, all that needs to happen is that there is a key, for example, on the. I mean, anything is logically ZL locked behind the first key here.
So there's Kokiri Sword, and I see an Ocarina out, so that's a good sign. So yeah, this is going to be the ZL rush. 17 minutes left. I think he's actually a little bit ahead of schedule from where I expected.
Yeah, 2 minutes. 2 minutes for Goma. Well, 3 including getting there.
Yeah, it's still going to be tight. I think he might end up with ZL with about 8 minutes left, if his execution is really clean. And from there, it's all about what you do with it.
You know what the problem is? What really, really is troubling right now? We don't have a scale.
Yeah, there's no good way to get to Jabu.
The only way to get to Jabu realistically is to play Prelude and then walk up river and get and chicken fly into domain.
Yeah, it's not great. It's just not great.
Great. It's an understatement. Oh hey, treasure chest game.
But, I mean, keep in mind that if the scale is somewhere ridiculous, then all of our counts could be wrong. Because maybe there's a surprise path scale on Treasure Chest game, and the lens is surprise path for that. You know, there's just the potential for unknowable logic twists that can mess everything up.
Well, both Redd and Xavi very close to each other on Treasure Chest game. Meanwhile, Oxydude obviously Din's firing straight down to the basement. B1 skipping the easy way. And let's see what Treasure Chest game has. Survey says it's a big one. It's the scale. Oh my god.
Oh my god.
That is the logical way into domain to get CL. I'm calling it now. That third piece is in Spirit Temple.
So I mean, I believe that if that scales path, then that means Lens's path too. That's cool.
Yep, definitely.
I don't know what that means.
I'm gonna leave that to the mathematicians in chat for the next 2 minutes or something.
Me too.
Oh yeah, Lens is already path for Spirit though.
Yeah, but it means that if it's not in Spirit, that it's path for everything else as well. Because now it's path for ZL in general. Basically what it means is that bottom of the well is slightly more probable as a location than it was 2 minutes ago. Still likely to be Spirit Temple based on the Wanderer, but I've just seen things like I don't trust Wanderers that much.
The entirety of Spirit is CL locked. Basically, anything beyond the first 2 child and first 2 adult checks, the first 1 free adult check. So,
more importantly, it's hard ZL locked. So, and we need to cross in order to get there because Requiem is vanilla. So, realistically, the only ZL lock checks that Oximan is going to have a chance of getting to are the bottom of the well ones. And Deku Tree is done. 13 minutes left, and
yep, rushing up the river.
Run up river.
Oxy? Nah, I don't see Oxyman wasting any time checking Composer for Requiem.
Well, you won't check it for Requiem. You'll check it for Storms. I'm telling you, chat, everybody's really excited about Spirit Temple, but I think Oxyman's only play is to go Composer Grave to get Storms and do Bottom of the Well. Even if it's not the right answer, it's still the best play by far, given the situation of how much time he has left.
I don't know about that. So Oxy doesn't have Requiem, is that right?
Yeah, he didn't cross, so Spirit Temple is just not an option. The only thing he's going to be able to do with ZL is get the song in Composer Grave. And he probably will, because there's a 50-50 chance of it being Requiem from his perspective. But he's not going to get it. He's going to get Storms, and with however much time he has left when he gets it, which is probably going to be like 6 minutes at this point, I imagine he's just going to run straight into Bottom of the Well, because he's already in Graveyard, and it's a high-density location. And I think that's the best play for him anyway. So there's still, I mean, we don't know what the Wanderer is for sure. Like, we think it could be Strength 2. I've seen crazier things happen. We still could have some interesting checks left in the final 4 to 5 minutes here on this left side of the screen.
Meanwhile, both Redd and Xavi are hard dodging.
We are definitely going to have our first tiebreaker of this tournament. This is the Wanderer bracket, so you can't say that we promised you anything different.
Well, it is players for whom this might be their first tournament. And Oximan obviously rushing into Jabu Jabu and going to go straight to Baronade here to get that song. Not bothering with anything else, not bothering with Princess Rudo, not bothering... And grabbing that chest, that crate and getting out of here. Or getting straight to Baronade. And now it's Redd's turn to be disappointed by the Zora tunic.
And on Oxyman's side, this is really where execution is everything, because every check that gets messed up between now and the end of the seed is potentially checks in Bottom of the Well that he's not going to get to. So missing that throw with the boomerang, wisely going for the backup just to keep things consistent. But now, you know, a clean Baronade could end up in 3 or 4 additional chances at checks in Bottom of the Well.
So far it's a clean fight, and it continues to be, and it still continues to be.
Good stuff.
Nice. Redd hot on Oxydude's heels here into Jabu. Wants to see about that ZL, I think. Or might be hoping to just randomly find a Triforce piece here. This is 8 minutes until the end of regular time, so he might just be thinking, get in a dungeon, get in any dungeon. But no, he's on the way to Baronade as well. That's Baronade done for Oxydude, by the way. Good stuff.
Yeah, so 8 minutes left exactly, picking up that third stone. Is going to have to probably walk out of Temple of Time to actually pick up ZL. So that's going to be another few minutes, but and then probably another minute to actually pick up the Storms for the Composer Grave. So, I mean, it could be about 4.5 minutes or so by the time we see Bottom of the Well, but that is enough time to do probably every check, or at least close to every check in there.
A meaningful portion at least. Alright, off to Temple of Time we go. Every second counts now for Oximan.
His heart must be pumping right now because he knows that every single little mistake adds up. Trying to get as many checks in bottom of the well as he can in these last 7 minutes.
All right. Getting that Ocarina. Wait, did he fall off the bridge? Oh.
I'm scared. I think
He did not trigger the cutscene. He just jumped off the bridge into yep, there we go. Now the cutscene's triggered. That cost him half a minute.
Yeah, it all adds up. Maybe it's the pressure of the situation, like trying to get ahead of himself, thinking I got to pick up the ocarina. Well, you got to make the ocarina be thrown first before you can pick it up. But there it is, and there's ZL.
Mm-hmm. Playing Nocturne. Oh, no! Choosing to go Prelude. I don't think he's gonna have enough time to actually get back to Spirit Temple, though. But he has that goal in mind. He's not thinking about the well.
This might be Deep Shadow.
No, I don't see it. I think it's just. I think he's got Spirit Temple on the mind, but he knows that. But obviously, he knows he needs to be there as an adult.
There's no way that he can get into Deep Spirit in time. I think this has to be the back 3 for Shadow. That's the only thing that makes sense to me. Let's see what he does.
You might be right.
I don't think that he can get into Deep Shadow in time, though. Like, riding the boat is too slow.
I don't know if he pushed the block. If he did, he might have a chance.
Okay, this is interesting. I don't hate it necessarily. Let's see how this turns out.
Can this be 15 steps?
I don't know.
We know ZL is 5.
Looks like he pushed the block because he's headed to that room, so maybe we'll see the last checks of Shadow.
I don't think it can be here. I think Shadow is too shallow.
Well, maybe. If it was here, it would add Dins and Nocturne to the path, so... I mean, it's not really up to us at this point. It's either here or it isn't. And Oximan is betting the house on Deep Shadow, so this is what we're going to see.
All right.
But yeah, 4 minutes left, so yeah, the boat's not 4 minutes. He should be able to get, at the very minimum, the 3 checks in the maze, if not Bongo.
I don't think we're gonna see Bongo completed, but I think we're gonna see the rest of the maze, certainly.
Yeah, it depends on the execution. I still think Bongo's not impossible, but we'll see. I've been wrong before.
Shanok pointing out, if that scale is path, ZL is 14 to 15 deep. ZL is 14 steps plus 1 from Dins, that'd be 15. If that is the big brain play that saves Oxitude this game, I don't know.
Yeah, if he can pull this third piece out of Deep Shadow, this would be a stunning play of brilliance, because I would never have come here in a million years. I would be in bottom of the well every time.
All right, into the maze we go. Run, Link, your life depends on it. Quick peek. I'm not even bothering with the peak, just firing off that Din's fire. That's a small chest, that's a big chest.
Oh,
for a giant spoiler. Okay. Still can be the manager, it can still be Bongo.
Yeah, so that's the last key. So the next two checks are technically alive, but 2 minutes left. Can you really get Bongo down in 2 minutes? As well as this Floormaster chest. I don't think he shot the bomb flower as well. This is asking a lot. We'll see. It's not impossible, maybe.
He didn't shoot the bomb flower, no, but he can. Nice quick spin here. He can get rid of most of that cutscene by jumping into the chasm, and that is a big chest.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh, is this it?
No.
It's not. The troll. 1.5 minutes to get to Bongo and to beat him. That's gonna be possible, but only with a perfect Bongo fight.
It's gotta feel so bad though, like getting those two big chests, thinking this could be the ticket to victory. Not to be. He needs to shoot those bomb flowers. He needs to go real fast here.
Oh, triggering the whole cutscene. 1 minute left. Jabu is a foolish choice. Xavi not particularly happy about that hint, I'm sure.
Yeah, I don't think he can get Bongo down in time. There's just too many cutscenes, I think. Well, we are going to get our first sudden death on the right side of our screen, because neither of those runners are going to pick up any Triforce pieces before this time limit expires. So the time limit won't be in the negatives anymore, but they are going to keep going until they get one Triforce piece. And now we know that it's got to be the one in Fire Temple that they're going to get, because none of the other ones are going to be available. But in order to get there, they are going to have to get to Shadow 2. But that's the time limit, and that means Purble
fight
is going to be winning game 1.
Yeah, perfect Bongo fight for Oxy Dude. But still not quite in the time limit. Let's see if this is... Alright. It's not it.
Shadow.
Okay, it's in Spirit Temple. I'm gonna call Spirit Temple.
Yeah, it does seem likely.
Alright, looks like Purble is going to join us for an interview, and so is Oximan. Meanwhile, Artificial Redd and Xavi are going to keep going until one of them finds a piece. So they need to be in Shadow Trial to grab that hammer, to go into Fire Temple. Okay, Oxyman's joining us right now. Hey Oxyman, GG's. You're still muted.
Hello, GG.
Hello.
Hello.
Commiserations are not quite getting the win in your first of this best of 3. But that's why it's a best of 3, no one's going home yet.
I took a gamble on Ice Tavern and lost. I don't regret it.
We thought the play for Shadow was really good. It got you some checks that we thought could have been 15. Chad is convinced that the last piece is in Spirit Temple, and we knew based on the time limit that you were never going to be able to make it to Spirit Temple in time. There was just no chance. So I don't blame you for doing Shadow. I was thinking bottom of the well, but maybe that is not even enough. But yeah, I mean, you got ZL. That's pretty impressive given the time limit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I decided I wasn't getting ZL today.
Well, we worked out. You were able to track down those first two pieces relatively quickly, and that got you the tie break. And then you kind of memed for 30 minutes, and it was fine.
Wow.
I wasn't quite memeing, but yeah, I'll take that.
Well, so-
GG, Doxy.
Really quick, the other race is continuing on in sudden death, and we have Redd finally making his way over to Shadow 2, which is the right place to be. So might see Redd finally on his way to Fire Temple to get that first Triforce piece and win the race there.
I wondered if that might fit people up, because that's horrible logic, but yeah.
Well, you figured it out faster than I would have, because I kept begging people to go to Shadow Temple, and shows how much I knew.
I had IGC double path really early.
Yes.
And
So
my
did
first trip there, I got the bow and nothing else. And it was either Light Trial or Shadow 2. So as soon as I could do Shadow 2, I almost didn't get the child songs on my child 1. I mean, because I got the magic, and I could suddenly do Magic off Richard. I could suddenly do Shadow 2. I almost turned around and did it right there. Which I don't think would have been a bad play, but I decided to carry on and get the songs.
I had the same idea. I saw the magic, and I was thinking Shadow 2 with the bow
Mhm.
on the path.
And the 5 hours in the triple path DC.
Yeah. I was like, I should go back to Shadow 2, but I'm going to do Child some more.
Yeah, it was very interesting to watch both of you, because both of you actually had very similar paths through the seed.
Oh, right.
You were both doing Shadow 2 relatively within a few minutes of each other, and then you were both in Fire Temple together. And actually, Purple, you got the piece in Fire Temple, I think, only a few minutes ahead of Oximan, and I think it was maybe only like 2 or 3 minutes. So it was really quite close.
Wow.
But then the real divergence came with Forest Temple. Purple, you went straight to Forest Temple, and Oxyman, I think you went back into Shadow and did some other dungeons instead. So
Right.
tell me, maybe Purple first. What was the Forest play? What led you to there?
Hookshot lock checks. I figured the piece in Fire had to be 6. So, and there was something else in Fire which had to be the hookshot. So coverage at 7, rush your dungeon hookshot checks, and you have to go quite deep in Shadow before you hookshot locked. So I rushed Forest. Also, Shadow had to be Dins locked as well, so that wouldn't have added up. So I think it had to be Forest.
Yeah, and you had the advantage of having done a Spirit Trial out of Logic very early, so not possible to just be hookshot locked in Ganon's. That was well done on that trick. That's actually a trick that I don't know myself, and it's on my list to learn. But you got it reasonably quickly, and certainly given the information,
it's more consistent than I make it look.
It takes me about 10 minutes to do that trick. That's why I didn't do it.
Took me about 10 minutes today.
I don't think it was that long.
3 times or something. I didn't die to it this time.
That's
Not that long. It was about 5.
Last time I tried it on the stream, I died. So
progress.
How much do we know about the third piece?
We assume it's either so. Chat and I am convinced that it is in Spirit, because everything in Spirit beyond the first 2 child checks and the 1 adult check is ZL locked. The other option that Elagatua is convinced about is well.
I'm not sure I'm convinced about it.
I think it's. I don't know.
Well, not say convinced about it, but let's say that's a possibility.
So right at the end, I got a GTG Wanderer hint, which I think has to be for the strength. in there.
Oh, I didn't find that.
The
I only
thing
found,
has to be
there's
spent
strength.
Like a
too,
flake.
which because I mean I got to an hour 57 minutes and had no checks it could possibly be, so I went and read some hints. So I think that Wanderer hint has to be for the strength, and that means it has to be in spirit.
Yeah, Chad agrees with you. I was just when we were commentating it, Oxyman actually did manage to pick up ZL before the end of the seed, but there was only about 5 minutes or so when he was able to pick it up. And we knew on the restream that Requiem is vanilla, and actually all of Spirit Temple is hard locked behind ZL because the only key available is on the compass chest. And so there was no way that Oxyman could get back to do any of the spirit checks in the time that we had remaining. So I was suggesting do bottom of the well because, I mean, maybe there's a chance.
I guess Storms was in Composer Grave.
Correct.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Okay.
Yeah. So where was Boomerang? So they'd
Target in
never
the
found
woods.
that.
Target in the woods.
Wonderful. I never did Child Lost Woods, did I?
You want to know
did
where your
it.
scale was?
Oh, I
You're gonna
didn't
hate it.
Go on.
Well, treasure chest.
A new one. Nice.
I didn't find lens.
Lenses on chickens.
Yeah.
Oh, so
I
that
didn't do
I mean I think there must be another scale because if that's path, then the lens is path as well.
Correct.
And I think we're over 15.
No, that is exactly lens and scale are exactly what brings CL to 15.
Oh,
or brings CL to 14 rather.
Okay, so okay, yeah, no, I was counting it for what it could be if it's spirit. I was counting the strength in GTG as path and the lens for crossing, and I think I got to 14. Yeah, okay.
I gambled dice. Did Back of Shadow. One of those two. So yeah.
Yeah,
I
I
mean, not a
completely
problem.
abandoned Shadow. Shadow, very weirdly, it was far too early in Logic because we had the magic, we had the Dins, we had the hovers, had the Nocturne.
Well, I did because I was missing a couple items. I was like the rank, like you said, Rang, long shot. I didn't get the forest hint till after I got long shot.
I picked up the long shot and forest just was looking for the piece. So.
Right.
Yeah.
I should have done forest. Like I was in shadow. I was like, wait, it could be forest.
Yeah.
But I did ice afterwards,
Right.
and then I did forest.
Well, on the other side of the screen, we still have Redd and Xavi continuing on. Redd taking down Volvagia for a key, and back into Fire Temple will be making the climb, and should be picking up that Triforce piece in the next few minutes to win this sudden death race. But seems like Xavi might be heading back adult. I'm not sure if there's anything left in his world other than Shadow 2, so it feels kind of bad, but I mean, that's the break sometimes. But
sometimes you just lost location something, and that is okay. It just happens.
It does just happen. Feels bad when it's a path, though.
Yeah. That being said, with Triforce Blitz, still most of the time, even if you mess up something real bad, you're out of it after 2 hours. And even in this case, where Xavi's opponent ended up not finding a piece within the 2 hour time limit either, you're out of it after 2 hours 15 in this case. So
yeah, definitely. If you've last location something as hard as both of our runners did, you're ready to be done, and at least you find that one piece, and you're going to get a free ticket to not play anymore, which is nice. And for Redd, this is going to be the free ticket to a 1-0 lead in the series. So nothing wrong with that. And yeah, just kind of a bit of a mess, honestly. The logic trolling like crazy and triple Dodongo's cavern path for free
everything.
items and not Din's. Hello, so go figure.
which is honestly ridiculous.
Definitely
that-
was not the one I expected.
I figured that out pretty early as well, that I already had 3 path items from DC, and the Dins didn't have to be path. I figured that bit of logic, dumb logic, out fairly early. It's another reason I kept putting off Shadow.
Well, Xavi gonna get see that big chest. Gonna have to.
Gonna be very disappointed.
Yeah, it's gonna
Actually,
have to
not
run all the
disappointed.
way over.
Well, I think, if I recall correctly, Redd is 1 or 2 checks away from finding that Triforce piece.
Yep, should be on the opposite side of the maze.
Is this the first sudden death of the tournament?
It is.
I'm not sure if it's the first sudden death of the tournament. It's certainly the first sudden death of the tournament that has been on restream.
I believe it's the first one overall as well.
Sometimes that's just the breaks. This was not an easy seed to figure out.
Oh yeah, for sure. It's a very tough seed, and I'm glad we thought about this in preparing. But anyway, all that's taken care of because we have a winner. It's Artificial Redd at 2 hours and 13 minutes, taking the 1-0 lead.
And Xavi immediately forfeiting from the race because, yeah. Sometimes you're just happy to be done with a seed. All right. And that is
while we're
true.
getting them in for an interview, maybe we can have final words for Oximan and Purble while we switch up our interview lineup here.
Just remember that boss key doors are open, which I forgot. In fire.
Fun seat. I mean, look forward to game 2. And thanks for the restream. I hope everything went well. I mean, with 4 of us on here.
It was super interesting, super experimental, and it worked out great.
I
we might
wait to come back and watch this.
We might do this again. This was fun. Thank you so much for being up for this. And I mean, best of luck for. Sorry for let's say doing this a bit last minute. Best of luck for your second go around to both of you, obviously. And we'll see you then, right?
Yep.
Yep.
Okay. I think we're heading out for the now.
All right. Thanks for the restream. Have
Yep.
a good night. Afternoon.
Thanks to you for putting on a great show. All right, let's see. Redd is gonna be moved up to this channel by me. Hey, Redd.
TobiasG, and I'll do the interviews. I'll see you guys over there. Hello.
Welcome to whatever that was.
Oh, I'm in the booth. I didn't realize. Hello, GGs.
Hello and GGs. Looks like Xavi is not joining us for an interview today, which is perfectly fine. Sometimes you're just happy to be done, as I said earlier. GGs, that was a seed.
Yeah, I feel like it could have been done a long time ago if I just remembered Shadow Trial.
Yeah, there was only one way through the seed, and it was through Shadow Trial. No way to the other Triforce piece out of Logic, and the other piece that you guys didn't see was in Forest Temple, locked behind a hook shot on the hammer chest and fire deeper there.
Okay, so I was close to the hook anyway.
Yeah, but everything runs through deep fire.
Yeah, because Longshot was obviously sitting in Forest Temple.
Of course.
Like, Deep Fire, and by extension, Shadow Trial 2 locked this whole seed.
Yeah, I see that because I ran out of options at the end. That's why I just got 10 skulls. Like maybe the hook is just there. Like, I wasn't sure what was going on.
It was a seed, certainly. Forest Temple also had your second Triforce piece, by the way.
Okay.
That was, we figured out courage, and I mean we're down to either Spirit Temple or Bottom of the Well for wisdom. You did need to get CL for that.
Yeah, and Spirit Temple definitely needed Vanilla Crossing.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah,
It was
'cause
hard
there's
CL
some game
locked.
there. Yeah.
In any case, despite having to go into sudden death, you go 1-0 in the series.
A win's a win, I guess.
Certainly.
Well, I'm glad I got to make a fool of myself on a restream at least.
I don't think you made a fool of yourself. Why do you think you made a fool of yourself?
Just for getting that check in
Meh.
Shadow Trial.
Yeah, what are the odds that the one check you forget has the thing that locks the whole seed down?
Cough, cough, chickens.
I mean, yeah, you pick up the bow on validation. Do you really turn around for Shadow Trial though? I don't know.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, I think the only thing that could have pointed you there was just the second Ganon's path. But I mean, if you don't remember that it's like Fire Arrow's potential path for Shadow 2, then it probably never crosses your mind.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think
at that
that was the main advantage that Purble and Oxydude ended up having in their race. I think both of them found out that Canon's Castle is double path to power pretty early.
Yeah, I had it was double path. I was just thinking maybe it's hook locked in Spirit Trial for the second item. But to be honest, that Dodongo's Cavern really screwed me up in the beginning.
I mean, it messed with our brains as well.
Yeah, join the club. I analyzed that wrong for about 20 minutes.
It had a wonderful 4 items, the only one of which that wasn't path for something was Din's Fire.
Yeah, I was gonna say, if you didn't know, it's definitely triple path.
Yeah, I mean, we had the hints for it. It's triple path to all 3 Triforce pieces. Pretty damn ridiculous, to be sure. I mean, any other questions? Want to know where some of your items were?
I actually had everything except for the hook, which I found out where that was. The other thing I was missing was irons. I'm sure you didn't even need those, did you?
No, we never found them. 4 runners between you never found them.
Yeah, probably not even necessary. Yeah, I think that's it for me, though. Thanks again for the restream.
Thank you so much for putting on a heck of a show and for agreeing to a bit of an experimental racing setup, for agreeing to join us on the restream as well.
Yeah,
I hope this was fun.
Work out?
Sorry?
How'd the whole double race experiment go?
Pretty well, actually. I think we can do this again, maybe with more than 30 minutes of deciding to do this. But hey,
Well, yeah, cool. I can't.
I mean that's unfair to our restreamer. No, we decided to do this 30 minutes, far more than 30 minutes beforehand. But before we had everything in place to actually do it 30 minutes before the race, and that worked out well. In any case, thank you again for putting on a heck of a show. Congratulations on getting to 1-0 for your for this series.
Thank you.
And I think there's nothing left for me to do than to thank our volunteers once more. Thank you to everyone who made this restream possible, which was a lot of people this time. Oximan, Purble, Redd, and Xavi as our runner. Miraba, Lady Draco, Melqui, and Baby Shark as our trackers. Hell Knight as our restreamer. Baseball as our race monitor, who obviously has been pulling double duty. And my co-commentator, Elagatua.